Alright guys, welcome back to some more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So we're currently in the second trial and things are getting pretty heavy right now. So we're going to continue on from there, so I hope you all continue to enjoy watching. And let's just get to it. Alright guys, and we're back. February 18, 12:52 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I managed to find out what happened. Mr. Sato, I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then, could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilded was talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions. Along with the young girl? Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Mr. Sato. Yes! February 18th, 1 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Alright, so where we last left off, because I nearly forgot already, someone threw a smoke grenade in the courtroom, and it caused a mayhem. Alright, so we're going to continue on. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded, look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks. My lord, I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade of the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. And now occupies the stand. Your name, girl. Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded. I think perhaps I ought to explain here why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, Bagora! A loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then, I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in here, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I remained somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Alright, here we go. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. I'm gonna question that. Hold it! And when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye, and that's why I took the backside as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, 'tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Okay. Then Bagora! A loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. Alright, I'm gonna press that too, man. Hold it! A loud thud, you say, and a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground, that sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me up and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fella on the floor. You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream. Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. I'm gonna question everything. You know what? Press it. Hold it! You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said, I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. So that would explain why he would have blood on both his hands then, because he sat him up. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? Most would, actually. 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Ara, Lord Van Zeeks! Now, why would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offered them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try where at all possible to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no! I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes, the scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? Hold it! I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir. So I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing, the wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course, the whole bus is submitted as evidence. That'll be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. Hold it! You'll say she was hiding herself. Aye, that's right. 'Twas hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well, me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. You're really overacting this. Still in all, I pulled her out from under there, and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chin wag with her. The seat opposite. That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fellow's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilden. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused perhaps with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is that girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. Lestrade? Lestrade. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. A thief. Great. What? This girl here, a petty thief? Order! Order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Ah! Did she just shoot him? How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Ah! The girl! She's gone! Open your eyes. What was the point? I'm over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself back into a corner. She knifed the gent. Go on. That's what's in your heads, ain't it? It's so hard to do that. No, not at all. This is a court of law. Wow. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. In what I do. Let me fix that. What? Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs. Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheeled drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Ugh. Do not wave that thing in my direction again. Oh, he's got a new chalice. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus in the night in question? Tis alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. What the girl saw. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was right old waste of time. I got nothing to show from your troubles that night. I'll tell you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out my skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because all that swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Ah, it's so hard to read that sometimes. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. Yes, it does appear large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there, because I parked myself in the seat for the duration. Ah, so you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question? Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So, I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman. My lord. This fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Wow. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Oh, her too? Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leading to a verdict of not guilty? Mr. Naruhodo, this... Well, it must mean... What? That we're victorious! We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
What the... First the cape, or coat, now the legs? If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offense, pray do forgive discourtesy. You're asking a lot of the court lately, guy. You do a hollow chalice. Oh, sorry. Hollowed, what was it? Hollowed chalice. Hollowed chalice at the pillar, and now you're putting your foot on the thing. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of the cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of Coachman's belongings. It's noted in the black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilden's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend? Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the under-seat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of the little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? I didn't look. It was empty. But it wasn't empty. Hold on a second. Oh no, it's empty now, so it wouldn't matter if I checked it. But I remember, I think I remember reading it wasn't empty. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense. But as far as I remember, at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Ara, be whist! What are you saying now, you daft doll? I thought you were on my side here. Oh, he's angry now. What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man on the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. 'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilden. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interest here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That their cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? Yeah, because now it seems like he's trying to tell me something. He's trying to sway me in my answer. He's trying to get me to doubt myself. I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The Guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying. Oh, here we go again. Ah. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, the lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick, of course it's a trick. Quite so, I must concur here. Oh, this is a fine mess I put myself into. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is a matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey's at work, it would seem. Here we go, another one. What the girl saw. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. Hold it! So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point in spending a joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, innit? I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up a little mystery of the fares and all. For paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And one little scapegrace riding for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is the storage compartment. Full of equipment for the coach, no? Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there. I always chuck all that out and cram it in the corner somewhere. So no one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. Inquiry, sorry. But it was right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for the troubles that night. Really now. Hold it! A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own in the god permit at least some of the time. Oh my god, I'm struggling. I beg your pardon? Did you say god permit? Oh yeah, well, that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away. That's it. Only that night. This culver sat on me seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. I'll tell ya, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Okay, so it's dark. Hold it! So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, the passengers plan themselves on opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over my head. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out. I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Upson's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I just to stick it out under there. Nothing else for it. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we get back, I'm gonna continue to question this girl and see what's what. If anything else guys, until the next one.